Aloha, folks, and welcome to the very first episode of Campaign Update. My name is Fina Benoan, and I have here with me Mike Scott, and we are two libertarians running for U.S. Senate to make a meaningful change in Washington to help the people, the ones that matter the most, the everyday average person, to live a more prosperous and free life without an over-encroaching government. So, folks, this is the first episode, and I've been kind of tight-lipped about this, and I do want to tell you a little bit about this show for those that are tuning in. This is going to be a weekly campaign update where we focus on libertarians, giving the libertarian view, the libertarian voice, an audience, and an opportunity to catch those little media clips they want to have to use in their own campaigns. I've already said I'm running for U.S. Senate. Mike Scott is also running for U.S. Senate out of Maryland. And so we also want to feature our presidential campaign. And we do have backstage right now with us our vice presidential candidate, Mr. Mike Termont. Now, I'm not going to bring him on stage yet because I'm going to do my little intro. I'm going to tell you guys about what we're doing, but I will not delay him too long. So the idea is that viewers can tune in exactly at noon. I want at noon is really where I want the presidential candidate to shine. So that way, people that are on their lunch break, they know that they can tune in. And what I want them to find out from the presidential campaign update is where they've been, what they're doing, and where they're going next week, so that the viewers or the audience can either participate or show up, or if you're doing an interview, like say on CNN or Fox News or something, they can tune in and they can share it with their friends and family too. So we do have a couple of guests today. Part of the structure of the show is that we're going to have two libertarian candidates from across America, whether the U.S. Senate candidates, federal candidates, or running for, county commissioner in their hometown, right? I want them to have a voice. I want them to come on. I want to show people that we have libertarians across the nation. We are a strong party. One of the things we're also doing is we're going to do a topic each week that we're going to feature something that's kind of libertarian. And this being our first episode, and the old saying goes, sex sells, right? So this week we are featuring the topic of sex work, and we like to give other people a voice. And me personally, I like to give the voice to those who have passed away that maybe they could say it better. And so without further ado, and since we do have one of our candidates that are coming on today later is from Hawaii, and he's running for federal U.S. federal House for District 2 in Hawaii, which is the outer islands in the western part of Oahu. And the video that we're about to watch on sex work in particular is from Tracy Ryan, a longtime libertarian in the state of Hawaii. She was actually one of the first trans people to run for a high office. She ran for governor back in the early 2000s. And a lot of folks forget that Libertarians is the original home of the LGBTQ. So without further ado, let's get Tracy on the stage.
Hi, my name is Tracy Ryan. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been involved in the sex industry, prostitution at all? Are you a man? Maybe you've visited a sex worker. Are you a sex worker? Have you sold sex? Maybe you've had a bad experience in the sex industry and been sex trafficked or had abuse. Well, I want to tell you that you may well be a libertarian if this is how you have experienced this. And let me explain why. First of all, the Libertarian Party is one that recognizes individual rights. So we would support the right of any woman, transgender woman or man or anyone else to choose to sell sex in order to make their living. We would not discourage them. We would not arrest them. We would not chase away their clients who are acting in an adult consensual manner. We think this is an adult consensual issue. However, that does not mean that we would sanction any kind of abuse, control, manipulation, violence, or anything else. People who are being controlled or sex trafficked are not voluntarily working in this industry. And the idea that some people are spreading that everybody in the industry must be sex trafficked is simply not true. And I've spent years working with people who've worked in the sex industry, so I know that this is not true. we do not sanction any kind of abuse or violence, and we think that those people should be prosecuted. What's interesting is we have an example in New Zealand, which is a fellow part of our Polynesian cultural area, where they have adopted a series of laws recommended by sex workers. They have a Prostitutes of New Zealand cooperative who gave them a series of laws which would fundamentally decriminalize the sex industry. There are no criminal laws now against the women who sell sex, men who sell sex, men who buy sex, transgender people. There are no criminal laws against consensual acts of adults. That includes people who want to manage others, which are often other sex workers, by the way, not necessarily third-party traffickers. People who manage sex workers can be just as voluntary and just as consensual as the sex workers and their customers can. In New Zealand, which is a country of 5 million people, which is about triple the size of Hawaii, the Global Alliance Against Trafficking Women, which is the leading international anti-trafficking group, found no evidence of sex trafficking in that country in their most recent review. Doesn't mean there wasn't any, it just means that we couldn't find any. Now compare that to Hawaii, where we're endlessly getting reports of some massive sex trafficking problem here. Yet our legislature wasn't even interested in considering the New Zealand model, one which has fundamentally addressed that issue because of politics. Politics which are anti-libertarian, politics which are wrapped up in some political issues or moral issues about the evils of prostitution, which have nothing to do with actual abuse. They have to do with people's opinions. So if we're serious about having a safe and healthy industry where people can voluntarily decide to use their bodies as they see fit, we should look at New Zealand and we should listen to the Libertarian Party. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was the late Libertarian Tracy Ryan, talking a little bit about sex work. And we do have, I'm gonna bring Mike on stage right now, if that's okay. Mike, can you give me a thumbs up if you're cool with that? Great.
I'd like to give him an intro, actually, a proper intro.
You're right. I just want, okay.
I would like to give the man a proper intro before he comes up, because I'm kind of fanboying for Mike Tremont. We all know, everybody knows he was, a cop in Hollandale, one of my favorite beaches down in Florida, by the way. A lot of folks don't know he's a college professor. A lot of folks don't know he's an accomplished author. And he put together the Gold New Deal. And this I found out about because, I do my research, and this man has something called Lisa on his site, which is Libertarian Chat GPT. I'm a huge fan, Mike Tremont. I'm a fan of your policies, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about not only our topic, but the state of your campaign.
Well, I appreciate that. I won't hide the fact that I'm a bit of a Mike Scott and Fina Bonoan fan myself, so I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. This is a very exciting program, a very exciting idea that you guys have here. I wish you all the best for selfish reasons as well as unselfish reasons. And I hope it lasts past November. You guys have a huge lift on your hands. I guess I should say 3 lifts. You're each launching a Senate campaign. It's a big deal. I would encourage all of your listeners to get involved, not just financially, but to get involved by, standing in the Walmart parking lot and knocking on doors in Maryland and in Florida. That's what is coming up around the corner for you guys. That is your future. I know that you both know this already, but I want your listeners to hear as well that there is a tremendous amount of just flat out nuts and bolts hard working that is about to take place. And you guys are going to need help for that. So good luck. And the third big lift that you guys have, in addition to Maryland and Florida, is this podcast, which I think is a good idea. I think it's one of those things that'll help unite the Libertarian Party.
We're not calling this a podcast. This is campaign update, just campaign update. It's an internet-based campaign update.
That's exactly what it is. It's a great thing. It's a great vehicle. So good for you guys for doing it.
Mike, now I want to make sure you're on plan. I've been sending emails, and I want to make sure you understand. I do want either you, Chase, or someone that's official from your team on the show weekly, but at noon. That's the key. And I only want you for 10 minutes. I know you guys are busy, And it's a big ask to be like, hey, Mike, I want you on my show every Tuesday at noon. No, y'all got other stuff to do.
Well, you can preach to this choir all you want. I am not the right ears for you guys to be chewing. I'm sure that you have reached out to the powers that be, and you will find one way or another to be successfully integrated with our campaign.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I've already got some commercials lined up for you guys that we're going to be playing during the show. So I want to get to the nitty gritty of why I want you on here. What are you doing this week? What are you doing next week? And how can folks get involved right now? And where's the best push?
Well, as you know, we're not on the road yet, but we will be in a couple of weeks. There's been a lot of media attention, of course, which is terrific. We've been on, I'm just looking at a list here, BBC and Ballotpedia, Newsmax and Fox, which is great, the Washington Examiner, Politico, CNN, the Associated Press. So obviously there's more attention than before the nomination took place, and that's a very good thing. At the moment, there is a lot of team building going on. Not only do we have to integrate two campaign teams, which is relatively easy compared to identifying and bringing on the new folks that have to come on and play very important roles in the campaign. So I would encourage folks that want to get involved, right? They can't, the simplest way, I suppose they could drop me an email, but you can go to votechaseoliver.com. There's a form on there that you can fill out and say that you want to get involved. You know, we need volunteers to do everything from advisory services and helping us with media to, just like I said, the blocking and tackling, because there's going to be a lot of door knocking and outreach going on starting what's going to feel pretty soon. You know, Labor Day is going to come real fast. So we're going to need all hands on deck. But you can just drop me an email if that's easier, folks that know me, and I'll plug you into the right place.
Yeah. Now, I am familiar that they're doing a ballot initiative in Illinois coming up, that we've got to get ballot access in Illinois. And I know that there was some people from Chase's team that was organizing that. So I do want to plug that. If you're in or around Illinois this, next couple of weeks, we definitely need all hands on deck to get those signatures to get on the ballot in Illinois.
It's a huge lift, and there is a team taking that on. There is a lot of reason to be optimistic. It is a huge lift. We need all hands on deck. This is one of those things that the party it needs to be all about, in my view. And Illinois is the largest challenge that we have that we can actually turn the corner on and be successful. So yes, go to that website and sign up, and we'll plug into the right folks.
Kind of related topic. There's been a lot of pushback in the Libertarian Party on Chase's nomination and you being a former police officer. So I got two questions, basically. The first one is, what would you say to the people that are divided and don't think that you and Chase best represent our best chance to win? And I'll ask the second one after you take that one, because that might be a really long answer.
I don't think it is. First of all, it's not true. And second of all, we represent the full spectrum of libertarianism, full stop. That is the right answer. It is just simply not true that there's a tremendous amount of pushback. To give you some pushback, there are some noisy people inside of our party who are very grumpy, but the vast majority of Americans don't even know that the Libertarian Party exists and don't give a damn about internal conflict inside the Libertarian Party. By the way, you don't care. I don't care. FINA doesn't care. I don't think anybody really cares about the fact that there are some people inside the Libertarian Party that are disappointed that, their particular candidate is not the nominee. Chase has a long history of being not only a peace activist, but a prominent and successful politician representing our party. You all know what a great job he did running for Senate in Georgia and causing that runoff. He was able to not only disrupt the duopoly, which is exactly what it is that our campaign is designed to do, but successfully got our message out. And that's what we're all about. Together, we represent, arguably, if you believe there are two ends of the spectrum inside the Libertarian Party, we represent those. So if you don't feel represented by this campaign, I would invite you to check out the websites, invite you to reach out, to get involved, or at least look into it, because we represent the full range of libertarian thought.
That was a great answer. My second question, you were a cop. I've been down to the Miami area several times, and this show is on sex work. What do you think about sex work? Your actual thoughts, not what you enforced. And I get jobs, and people have jobs back when they're younger, because I was military for years. But what are your actual thoughts, and how would you change the laws on sex work if you become VP? What would you push for federally?
Well, first of all, I think that you suggested something there that's not true. I was not involved with enforcing laws against sex work. I was able to find an agency that had a separate vice unit, so I didn't have to get personally involved with the stupid things that, the stuff that I personally view as stupid, like the war on drugs, or, sex worker stings and prostitution, anti-prostitution battles inside of some communities. That was just not part of my job. Just to be clear about that. Look, I agree. I think that most libertarians agree with me. I think that, frankly, most Americans agree with me that the government doesn't have an ethical role in regulating sex work. I think that it goes in the same category as, any other type of work. My personal views, you asked my personal views. I don't know if you meant my personal views toward public policy or my personal views toward sex work. My personal views toward sex work are completely unimportant. That is the point, is that your view, my view, Fina's view, the view of anyone who's watching this, I suppose everyone has an opinion about everything, right? My personal opinion is that you shouldn't be wearing ugly shoes. I don't think that that is something that you want to invite the government to regulate, whether I were vice president of the United States or not. And so the fundamental point is we need to get the government out of it.
All right.
Parenthetically, by the way, I was raised, half Lutheran and half Calvinist. You do not want my family's opinion about how you should live your life about anything. They will give it to you. Trust me. They will give you their opinion whether you ask for it or not.
My grandmother was Lutheran. I have been filled up with with the word since I was yay big, so I understand completely.
So, Mike, I just want to circle back to the point of why we're here, while we're talking with you, specifically the presidential candidate. So I'm thinking the best way that folks can help out this week, next week is different, because every week's going to change as we progress through the campaign, is go online, Google Libertarian, Google Mike Tremont, Vice President, Google Chase Oliver, President, Google these things, look at the articles, click on them, like them, share them. That helps the algorithms for the future. So,
that is exactly right. And amplify the stuff that's going on in social media for all of the accounts related to the campaign. I would also suggest that Michael is right, that it is worth checking out the libertarianintelligence.org website, where Lisa lives, the Libertarian Intelligence System application. That's a mouthful, so we just call it Lisa. But the AI bot, it's very fun. It answers questions the way a libertarian would. Make use of it. And
what was the website again for the Lisa bot?
Libertarianintelligence.org. It might be easier to get there from, MikeTremont.com or something like that. And interact with it. I think people will enjoy it. It's very fun.
Hold on. I'm I am trying to put this in the banner right now so I can go across the screen. And I hope I spelled this correctly.
Let me see if I can do that one.
Done. Lisa Bott, libertarianintelligence.org or MikeTermet.com. Correct.
There you go. I think that people are going to enjoy that. I think that people like our basic websites as well. As you all know, there's, because of the Anthony Fauci testimony yesterday, there's a little bit of increased focus on medical freedom issues. So that's going to be a theme for us for, this week. It is an obvious point of differentiation from us and the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. And for a variety of very important reasons, not the least of which is that I think that Americans are waking up to the idea that ours is a government that you cannot trust. We're very much focused on particular issues. What did people know? When did they know it regarding the science, regarding vaccines, regarding the development of the virus? All these are important issues. But I would argue that even more important is the more fundamental issue, which is why is it that we have what I would call a political class, a group of people who are making decisions that affect our lives. First of all, full stop right there. Why is any group of people making decisions that affect our lives? Why is it that the government is employing these people? Why is it the government thinks this is a good idea to have people making such decisions? And then secondarily, why is it that the people that are chosen to do this thing that we don't believe the government should be doing, why is it that this is a group of people that makes decisions based on a set of principles and values that just don't align with ours as Americans? This idea that they should be continuously trying to control the information that flows to us, trying to control what it is that we're allowed to do in terms of making decisions. This is a very weird thing. I think that we're all on board. Increasingly, Americans are on board with the idea that this is very likely the way our government has been operating for over 200 years. But that naivete has been wearing off, right? And we would argue that the authoritarian bent of the duopoly is accelerating. And so now is the time for us to stand up against these idiots.
So I want to play your Gold New Deal commercial, if that's all right. So I'm going to play it and we'll come back to you, okay? Another purpose of this campaign update is to show libertarian commercials. So people that are just scrolling through, maybe they catch a commercial. So let me play your Gold New Deal.
This election is not going to be about small things. It's not going to be about some court decision, a particular law, or what to do about some government agency.
This election is not going to be about a political candidate. It's not going to be about Donald Trump. It's not going to be about Joe Biden. Nor is this election going to be about me. This election is going to be about you. This election is going to be about your own vision for your own future, and whether that future is going to be driven by your own values or driven by someone else's values. There are people today in control of our government who impose a set of values that are different from yours, different from mine, different from those of most Americans. The values of this political class reflect an interest in power and control. These politicians maintain control by manipulating fear. Political parties have pit American against American, undermining our most cherished relationships, quite literally destroying families. The ever-increasing overreach of government has stripped us of our personhood, our individuality, and far too often, our very purpose. Our once thriving people, our culture, our nation, has been forced into an abusive relationship with a government that has gone absolutely mad with power.
I'm Mike Termet. I'm running for president to end the abuse, to build a new relationship between us and our government, to replace the old abusive relationship with what I call a Gold New Deal.
In any abusive relationship, it can be difficult to see the signs. Signs like gaslighting, violence, wasted money, infidelity. Hope is not lost. if we forge a relationship with our government that is, once again, based on our own values, to live and let live, to allow our fellow Americans to pursue happiness according to their own standards. It's time to stop fighting with each other and start fighting a political class that takes our money and disrespects our values. It's time for a gold New Deal.
As president, I will end U.S. involvement in foreign wars and stop sending our money and our young people overseas to fight in wars that profit the elite.
A gold New Deal means that I will regain our financial freedom by axing government regulation and spending, by dismantling a Federal Reserve system that undermines our standard of living. A gold New Deal means that I will reverse the weaponization of our justice system, stop abusive law enforcement practices by demanding accountability, and end a hopelessly counterproductive war on drugs. A gold New Deal means that I will put an end to the Orwellian surveillance state that offends our rights, break up the FBI that insults our values, and end the CIA that has caused worldwide embarrassment to us as Americans.
I'm Mike Tremont, and all I'm asking is for you to stop putting up with the abuse. To learn more, visit goldnewdeal.org.
All right.
Red and blue
Great
got you black and
commercial.
blue. So-
That's a fun video. You know, as you were running it, thanks for that. As you were running it, it occurred to me that we could throw Vice in there in a few places and continue to use that piece. I was very proud of the work of the team that went into producing it.
Yeah.
That was a great video. And I always say on my little YouTube page, when red and blue got you black and blue, or purple and blue, vote gold. Vote Libertarian.
If you're not voting for your values, you are wasting your vote.
Yes, Lord. Say that one more time, please, for the people in the back that couldn't quite hear it.
Stop wasting your vote.
Oh my God,
You're
stop wasting.
voting for a Republican. You're telling that organization that they're on the right track, that you believe in what it is that they're doing. And the truth of the matter is that the Republican Party represents a group of people that have gone in a different direction than the direction in which you wish they would have. You know, when I was a Republican several 100,000 years ago, I joined that party out of a sense that it's a group that would stand up for fiscal conservatism and free markets and free trade, right? And a deregulated business environment and staying out of our lives. And holy cow, that party and I and a whole lot of other, you know, now grumpy former Republicans, we went in two profoundly different directions. And I would say the same thing about the Democratic Party. Most of my family joined the Democratic Party believing it was an organization that would stand up for peace, that would stand up for the First Amendment at the very least, some sense of social liberalism. Holy cow, that party and my family have gone in two very, very different directions. And so I think that there are a lot of people out there who, you know, have joined these parties out of good faith and optimism, perhaps unfounded optimism, but thinking that whatever had been their past agenda would continue to be their political focus going forward. And it's just not the case. So I would urge Americans everywhere, stop wasting your vote. If you're voting for a party that does not represent your values, you are wasting your vote. Welcome home to the Libertarian Party.
Perfect. I've been telling folks for ages, they had 65 years or so to fix Social Security. It ain't been done yet. When they had a chance to put money towards immigration, they tried to hire 87,000 IRS agents and said they were going after billionaires. They prevented us from fixing Social Security and privatizing part of it. They have fixed nothing. Healthcare, crime, everything's getting worse. The ghettos of my youth, they're still there, sir. I cannot agree more. You are wasting your vote if you vote for either side. So,
all right, we're going to play another commercial. This time we're going to play a Chase Oliver commercial, and it's one that I really like that I just recently saw that is just like, whoo. It's like those you know, those commercials they used to do for the Humane Society with Sarah McLachlan singing "In the Arms of the Angel"? Oh my gosh, that's the vibes it gives me. So bravo Zulu to the video editor
It's
team.
gonna make me cry.
This. Yeah, it's gonna make you cry.
At least 37 million people have been displaced from their homes because of the United States wars.
A bit of rice is all she has to feed her 12 children.
They destroyed our homes, and now we have nothing.
I'm anti-war to the core, and that means I oppose the warfare state as it exists all over the world, and we need to bring our troops back home.
Every time a bomb drops on an innocent person and their collateral damage, that collateral damage is bought and paid for by your tax dollars in the military-industrial complex, and we need to reject that.
American and coalition forces.
30,000 additional troops.
Precision strikes on targets.
31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine.
I saw friends of mine getting to go sit in a fight and die and be injured in wars that we knew were based on lies that our government was telling us. They tried to expand the security state using 9/11 as an excuse. And that's what got me passionate into politics. We have to fight for a peace-based foreign policy. And you know, we've had presidential candidates in the past say things like, we're going to close Gitmo, we're going to end the wars, we're going to stop the drones, and we're going to actually talk to our enemies using diplomacy as a tool. That presidential candidate actually got elected. His name was Barack Obama, and he lied about every single promise he made. And that pushed me out of the two-party system and right into the hands of the Libertarian Party. And I was welcome in because this is the real anti-war party in this country.
I will end wars. I will stop drones. I will close Gitmo, and I will talk to our enemies because diplomacy is better than war.
I'm Chase Oliver, a candidate for president, and I approve this message.
That ad is on point, and the reason it's on point is, in my view, twofold. Number one, it is exactly the right message. It's the libertarian message. It's a message that Americans are ready to hear. But I can also tell you that is exactly how Chase Oliver feels. This is the most important issue to him, as I believe that it should be. It's squarely in his wheelhouse, and I'm very pleased to see that ad getting some traction.
Yeah, that's and the timing of it could not be better right now. We have both sides of the political aisle that most people identify as, both pushing for war in foreign countries with American intervention. And as libertarians, we are the anti-war party. Even if you're, there's libertarians out there that very much so don't tread on me style, right? So don't start nothing, won't be nothing style. And even we are starting stuff. When we go over into other foreign countries, that's us starting stuff. And I think that all libertarians are on board when I say that we aren't about starting stuff. We will finish it. Most libertarians will agree that we will finish it, but we don't want to start it.
And I had a question about your platform. I saw, because again, you wanted to close, what is it? Some of the 700 to 750 bases we have overseas and bring our boys home, or our boys and girls now. Tell us a little bit about that, since we just saw the anti-war side.
It is a lift, but it can be done. Foreign policy is one of the areas in which a libertarian-minded administration would have the most latitude, of course. The White House has tremendous control over foreign policy, damn near, just complete control. There are literally hundreds of bases that can be closed virtually immediately. There are other several hundred bases that require some ramping down because there's contractual obligations with the hosts. I get that. But within, a year, you can bring home literally most of the troops. This is a huge change in the way that we engage with the world. We need to be sending a signal to our NATO allies that we're going to be exiting NATO, that whatever had been your plan B is now your plan A. It is not an ethical proposition for us to take money from Americans forcibly, remember, and use that money to project our power into Europe, particularly for any reason, but particularly when our Western European allies refuse to spend the 2 or 2.5 or even 3% of GDP that they believe, I'm not saying I believe, that they believe is necessary to defend themselves. And the reason that they refuse to spend it is because they're all too happy to have American dollars support their defensive foreign policy for them. I think that we need to get out of the foreign aid business and completely. And that means Ukraine. It means the Middle East. It means Israel. It means all of the players in the Middle East. I don't think most Americans appreciate the fact that we have given not only the Israeli government billions of dollars on an annual basis, but billions of dollars on an annual basis collectively to the governments of Egypt and Lebanon and Jordan and the non-government players in the area, right? Like Hamas and Hezbollah and the Palestinian Authority. All of these groups have been taking money from the American government. And what has it gotten us? It has obviously not gotten us a tremendous amount of influence, right? It obviously has not prevented the breakout of violence. These things are, I mean, set your ethics aside for a moment. Just look at the world for what it is. This is not a policy that works. This is not a policy that makes us safer, and it's not a policy that makes anybody else safer. The fact that our policy offends our ethics is on top of the fact that it's a policy that doesn't work. And for this reason, I think most Americans are done.
Yeah. You got it all. You got it all there. And
I actually want to give him a little pushback, though. I'm just going to throw this out there. What do you say to those people that go, but you're deserting our allies in their moment of need? They need more billions. And what do you say to those guys? Because there are people that are going to throw out that's a weak foreign policy and they're not following the Constitution. I get that because we're not supposed to be an empire. But what do you say to those folks who say we're deserting allies?
There is no reason that our allies need to feel deserted just because we're not giving them free money anymore. If they believe, pick a nation, right? If you believe that you need billions of dollars to protect yourself against the Russian army, then knock yourself out. Start spending it. I do not believe that it is true that the Russian army should be viewed as being as dangerous as Western Europe has viewed it over the past 10 and 15 and 20 years. I think if there's one lesson that we've learned from the Russian army's inability to overrun Ukraine, it is that. By the way, regarding the China Sea, if you're a company in the business of producing anything that's high tech, particularly chips, particularly the high end chips that we believe are so critical to our supply chain and artificial intelligence. If you're a company deciding where to invest your dollars, right? In deciding where to build a factory, where to land, develop a footprint that's going to play a major role in supply chaining technology. And you believe that you need to invest in a place where the American government is going to back you up militarily come hell or high water, Taiwan is not an appropriate choice. May I suggest Jacksonville, right? May I suggest Baltimore? Because these are places that the American government should be backing up. There is a difference between Baltimore and Taipei. And of all the cultural differences, none are more important than the fact that you are safe and sound with a tremendous labor base, both in Florida and Maryland and around the United States. This is, of course, the nation that still produces by far the greatest amount of innovation and the greatest amount of high-tech education. You should be doing business in the United States. We need to send the signal that we're going to be unwinding our military commitment to Taiwan. The White House has, I believe, in my estimation, gone in exactly the wrong direction, allowing President Biden. I know that he says things sometimes he doesn't mean, but because he has said it 3 times, at some point you got to believe him, that we are willing to go to war over microchips. Wow. Of all the motivations I've been sold over the years, particularly by Republicans, but by Democrats as well, to be fair, of all the stupid ideas they have been trying to sell us over microchips. Really, that's going to be the motivation for World War III. I'm sorry, but when the motivations, when the excuses, when the reasons become dumber and dumber and dumber, at some point you've got to realize they're just in it for the war itself.
Yeah. 100%. It's a money machine. That's what they look at it as. And it's not just a money machine. It's a death machine.
It's an ugly, horrific money death machine, and it's powered by dead people. It sucks.
So I do want to commend you, because you mentioned something that a lot of libertarians don't always understand about shutting down bases. There are contractual obligations with certain places that, sure, when the time comes, we can shut it down, but that's going to be probably 100 years from now, because they make those obligations like they did that like World War II kind of style, like it's in the papers, you know. I mean, sure, it's a piece of paper and we can always just, you know, set the world on fire in the paper too, right? But you know, we honor our obligations. That's an honorable thing to do. But there are some, like you did mention, that are not contractually obligated, and that's a great way to save money. Now, you spoke also, you touched a little bit about Baltimore, about Jacksonville. I kind of felt like you were skirting around something that was a great segue for a libertarian talking point to get to our other guest that we have backstage, who is running for Hawaii House Congressional District 2, and that is the Jones Act. Are you familiar with the Jones Act?
I am. It's one of the reasons why it costs $1 trillion to live in Hawaii.
Yeah. So I'm going to play this. Mike, if you want to talk any more about do you want to talk about the Jones Act, or are you pal for the day? You good? You feel good? You want to
Well, I do feel good. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I got a hop. But I will say that the Jones Act goes in a big bucket category of stuff that I think, you know, when it was enacted, there were a lot of politicians who thought they were doing something real cool and smart. But so I'm not trying to run down, you know, dead people who thought they were being patriotic. But if today in 2021, you still support labor laws, the Jones Act, a whole raft of laws supporting the protection of unions. If you support protectionism of industries, right, which is big with the Biden administration and the Trump administration, big time. If you're into protectionism of any sort, I'm sorry, in 2021, you're gaslighting yourself. We know this is not an ethical proposition. This is, you know, this is math. This is economics. This is, as Anthony Fauci would say, science. You know, this is one of those things that has been settled over the past 100 years. Government makes things less efficient. When you put rules on people about what they can and cannot do, you are costing people money. You're making it harder for Americans to make ends meet. You are reducing our income. You are shackling our economy. And at this point, I'm sorry, take an online class in economics. There's no excuse for it anymore.
Right. All right. I'm going to thank you for coming on, Mike.
Thank you so much. My best to Nancy and the family. And
thank you very much.
Nancy
on. Says hello, of course.
Hello,
she has
Nancy.
enjoyed meeting each of you. And, you know, we talked about it before I came on the show. She agrees with me. You know, we are big time supporters of folks who are running for statewide office. Local office, I know you guys know something about that. Nancy and I have spent a lot of time knocking on doors and passing out literature in Walmart parking lots. So we are firm believers that there is just no higher calling than what you folks are doing, and we thank you for it.
In case you guys get in, you and Chase, just in case, you got to have some senators there to write and draft some bills like term limits and BRAC that you guys can sign. So we're doing.
Well, that's right. And we need support there because the Senate controls, you know, Fina is right. So many of these bases are controlled by contracts, but a lot of them are controlled by treaties as well. We need to be able to go to senators and say, I've got 2 different lists. This is a list of foreign bases I want to close, right? I need your help with negotiating out of our obligations under international treaties to close these bases and bring the troops. I've got another list here. This is a list of bases in your state. If I don't get my way on this list, I'm coming after this list, and I'm going to make it known that you are not helpful. And that because you are not helpful in me saving money on this list, guess whose fault it is that we're coming after closing bases on this list. And I do believe that sounds a little bit nasty.
That's strong arm. That's strong arm, but that's how they've been doing. That's how
we have to live in the real world. And so when people say, how is a libertarian-minded administration going to be able to negotiate with people? I think the answer is that you got to push them around a little bit once in a while, because we're on the correct side of ethics. If you want to be on the wrong ethical side of these issues, that's on you.
Right. So I am going to play my commercial for your send-off about the Jones Act, and I hope I see you. I know I'm going to see you again. Like, I'm going to annoy the crap out of your campaign team.
Oh my God.
I'm going to be getting commercials, and I don't care if it's you. I know eventually you'll be back on. I don't care if it's Chaser, and I don't care if it's your campaign media person.
It can be Irene. I'd love to talk to her. It could be.
Well, you should be talking to Irene, because she is playing a major role in the campaign, and medical freedom is hot right now. And there is no one who understands better medical freedom issues than Irene Mavrikakis. So reach out to her at Irene@MikeTremont.com. That's a very good idea. And now that it's hot, coming off of the Chase Oliver, the Anthony Fauci testimony. What I was going to say is you will get Chase Oliver on here. I'll put in a good word for you.
Thank you.
And, your audience will be treated as someone who is, smarter and better looking and more charming. And your audience deserves that. So it's all good.
This is the sex industry episode, and we do not yuck anyone's yum. We don't kink shame here. Everyone has their, different strokes for different folks. Don't count yourself out, friend.
We never judge. You're perfect for somebody. You're perfect for everybody.
Don't know who that is yet.
Fabulous.
That's
awesome.
You guys
just among the three of us here, we're hitting a lot of demographics. So you're right. It's a team sport, isn't it?
It needs to be, because all of us are on the side of liberty. Thanks a lot for coming on, Mike. It was really great talking to you.
Take care. All the best.
Yeah.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm Fina Benoan, and I approve this message.
Now, before we go into this deeper, so that way, for those listening on the mainland, they don't understand much of this. And we have quite a few mainland listeners and Kanakas away from home that like to stay interested. And so, if you could break down essentially in as little words as possible for people to understand essentially what the Jones Act does to Hawaii.
Okay, so the Jones Act is over a 100-year-old act that Congress passed. What that essentially does is it secures jobs in California at the price of our cost of living out here in Hawaii. That, in as few words as possible, is what the Jones Act is job security for California. And it's not just California, actually. It's Florida, it's New York, it's any of the big ports that are making it to the point where it's not smart anymore.
Right on. I think that's a really big discussion for people to have. Not many people are aware of it. I personally have a really good friend who tried to make an investment in a food truck business, and because of who he shipped his food truck through to get to Hawaii, the response from the port was, you either gotta pay us to send it back, or you gotta pay us to smash them.
Mm-hmm.
So like that gets in the way of progress for locals. It really gets in the way of accessibility. So I really appreciate that you're bringing that to the forefront.
The Jones Act out here in Hawaii has been crippling the economy. It increases all the price of goods and services. Even, during COVID, the shortages that we had on toilet paper, we were hurting on toilet paper way longer than the mainland was. It's an old, outdated law. We're in a new economy. We're in a world economy. We don't need the Jones Act.
Oh, I think we're going to go to another commercial. We need a minute. And we're going to get Aaron Tolman up here from Hawaii. But until then, we're going to play one more commercial because I feel like we haven't played enough commercials yet. So we're going to play a little Liquid Freedom. Then we're going to play another one of my old campaign commercials. And we're going to play another Chase Oliver one. So stand by.
It takes a lot to get someone to vote for a third-party candidate. It takes a lot of work for that. It takes even more convincing and swaying to get someone to volunteer. But by far, the biggest obstacle there is as a third-party candidate is to get someone to donate and go against the system. So I want to tell folks, whatever ideas you might have about a third party being a spoiler, whatever you think about a third party candidate being your vote wasted, because it's not. We earn our votes. We don't steal them. We earn them. And if you vote for me or you vote for a libertarian, it's because we earned it.
Right on.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha. Rabbit Holes is a Manavakal production. This episode was produced by Kavika Hoke and Sarah Rodriguez. Make sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast platforms to add our weekly episodes to your queue.
A record number of Americans favor a new political party.
57% of Americans still believe a third major political party is necessary.
Voting third party is a wasted vote? Bullshit. This is the establishment's most successful lie in modern politics. America is the only major country with free elections to only have two viable options. Not anymore. The Libertarian Party is the fastest growing political party in America and will be on the ballot in all 50 states.
And when we talk about winning, we don't just mean winning the White House. There's all kinds of wins you can have in your state if you vote Libertarian today. We can win ballot access that makes it easier for future candidates to run for office. We can win major party status that gives us more attention from the major media.
I think it's a great day to be a Libertarian.
And we could have Libertarians getting elected all over the country in local races. Whenever Libertarian candidates are able to break through the mainstream media blackout, our support grows. In my televised debate with Senator Raphael Warnock, I was able to reach out to millions of voters. Many of them realized that they were Libertarian all along and just didn't know it.
Why is that the radical idea, not the rational idea? If you live in a solid blue or a solid red state, voting for Trump or Biden is a wasted vote, and it won't change the outcome. Voting Libertarian is the only way to make your vote truly count. Currently, all the two major parties have to do is be slightly less evil than the other side to win. Let's make the statement that we will accept no evil. When someone tells you you're wasting your vote, recognize that they don't care about you. It's a selfish statement. They are saying that your beliefs aren't worth being represented, that you should silence your voice so theirs can be louder. Vote your conscience, not someone else's politics. Breaking up the duopoly is the only chance for the real radical change needed to give the power back to you, the people. Voting for Chase Oliver for president will contribute to bringing more choices into our political system. A successful third party forces the two old parties to think about the issues Americans truly care about. Keep them honest. Show them they must earn your vote. Change begins at the grassroots. I'm Chase Oliver, a candidate for president, and I approve this message.
All right, folks. Well, I want to send a special aloha to my friends out in Hawaii who may be watching now, or we also will be syndicating this program on Mondays evenings. So hopefully you can check it out then if you miss it today. But without further ado, I would like to welcome our next guest. His name is Aaron Tolman. He is running for Hawaii Congressional House District 2, which is the outer islands, and also the west side of Oahu. And welcome, Aaron.
Aloha.
Aloha,
Thank you
Aaron.
for having me.
So, Aaron, let's go ahead and introduce yourself. Where are you from? What's your background? Where you live at in Hawaii? If you know the good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so I am a military brat. My father was in the Air Force, and we were stationed in Hawaii for most of my life. I moved in the 4th grade, and I basically never left. Did leave Oahu in 2017, and I moved to the Big Island, and I live on the Hilo side. And I have enjoyed it and have no intentions of moving back to Oahu. But if I get elected, I'm willing to move part-time to DC. But that's only a part-time thing. I got to stay mostly in Hawaii here.
Okay, I have to ask you the Hawaii question too, and that is, what high school you went to?
Excellent question. I went to Radford High School. So
Are you serious? My husband went to Radford too.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
What year you
It was a great
graduate?
school.
What year you
I
graduate?
graduated in 2011.
Oh my
Okay.
God, you guys are so young.
It's time for the young people to step up and make the real change.
You guys are the future because the old folks ain't been doing it right. You're right.
So I'm glad to hear that you do have, like, you were born where you weren't born there in Hawaii, but you've spent a long time there. You've got those roots. You went to high school there. So what part of the Big Island do you live in now?
So I'm up in what's called Mountain View. It's about 15-20 minutes away from Volcano National Park. So that's the only real big item up in my area. Other than that, it's very rural. I'm mostly a homesteader, so I'm trying to grow my own food, build my own house. It's a different lifestyle out on this island. You know, everyone thinks of, you know, the beaches and the luau's and everything when they think of Hawaii, and I'm in a rainforest, and you know, I enjoy every minute of it. It's not your normal Hawaii, but it's my Hawaii.
Right. So a lot of libertarians, they do like that homesteading off-grid lifestyle. And, you know, I don't know if you know this, but okay, so you have New Hampshire, which is the Free State Project. But when they were thinking of states to go to create the Free State Project, Hawaii was on that list because of places like the Big Island, where you could affordably buy your own land. You could live off-grid without the government's electricity, without the government's, you could collect your own rainwater. The permits, the everybody's got an unpermitted house in the Big Island.
Yeah, not gonna lie, but yeah, it's you know, when I first learned about the Free State Project, it was something that really grabbed my attention, and we had kind of the same thoughts out here. Is, you know, maybe it should have been Hawaii, but at this point, it's, you know, I fully support New Hampshire and what they're doing, but if there are libertarians that, you know, want something a little bit more tropical, Hawaii is accepting libertarians.
They are accepting transplants for folks.
There is worse weather than going to Hawaii. I'd much rather a free state in Hawaii than New Hampshire. It gets cold up there.
There's the volcano though, and it is active right now. So some people are scared of that and being away from so far away. But like your family's there, you've got ties there. So you're good. So let's get back to your campaign a little bit. So
how's the campaign going?
Campaign.
Yeah, it's been ups and downs, which I'm sure almost every campaign involves. You know, I had some really good social media success right off the bat, and getting videos out on TikTok and getting, you know, tens of thousands of views, and just trying to bring up things from my own platform. So I did a series on the
videos. You got to send me those videos so I can play them. You didn't tell me you had videos. We would have been playing your videos too.
Well, I'll try to send one over in the meantime here. But I did end up getting basically shadow banned from TikTok alongside a lot of other independent voices. It seems that anyone who's criticizing the U.S. government is seeming to have issues on most of the social medias. You know, I think that's why libertarians lean towards X, because it is more of the free speech platform than any of these other social medias out there. And so, yeah, I ran into issues with basically being shadow banned. My videos were no longer being pushed out to anyone. They were just sitting at 0 views. And it was,
so how can people find you? How can people find you? I want to put a banner up on, is it just look up for your name on X, or do you have a handle?
My handle,
I think, is yours.
Yeah, so my website is limitthepower.com, and then my X is limitthepowerHI for Hawaii, and then same thing with my Facebook, it's limitthepowerHI. And yeah, those are the main ways. I am as I've been having issues with the social medias, I'm thinking that the next move forward here will be pushing things out on Rumble and possibly True Social, you know, just trying to reach different markets without being kicked off of those social medias.
Right. So you are on the ballot, though, correct?
Yes. As of yesterday, I submitted all of my paperwork, my signatures, my fees, and I am on the ballot for 2024. I'm super excited about it. It's a great opportunity to help spread the message of libertarianism to the whole state. And we'll find out today. Today is the deadline at 4:30 p.m. We'll find out if I'm going to be in a 2-way race or a 3-way race. So as of right now, the only 2 candidates who have filed their paperwork is the incumbent Democrat and myself. So I'm hoping for a 2-way race, but I'm gonna give it my all, even in a 3-way race.
Yes, definitely. There's a couple of races that are going to be 2-way races going for a federal seat in across America with libertarians. And yours is spectacular. I wish I had that kind of option when I was in Hawaii. Oh my gosh. I had 1 2-way race that I ran, and then it was a 6-way. Oh my gosh. And out here in Florida, right now, there's like 13 names going into some of them are primaried between the Republicans and Democrats, but it's still a lot of people vying for this. It's like they see that libertarians, you know, are going to run, and they're like, "Oh shit, we better all run. Let's all run." But I'm so glad to hear about that. So another place that another 2-way federal House race is going to be is North Carolina, and we're going to be having that candidate on our show soon, as well as the governor candidate for North Carolina. And I'm kind of touching these home bases a little bit for myself. So selfish. Used to live in Hawaii, ran for office there. I was raised in North Carolina. So I want, you know, to build the viewers up. And so what are some of the key issues that you have in Hawaii going forward?
So I believe you mean is in my platform. And so I have a 11-point platform that I've broken into 3 sections. It's fix the nation, fix Congress, and fix Hawaii. And the most important points in my platform is term limits. You know, for Congress, I think that's on the tip of everyone's tongue right now. Everyone is talking about term limits, and I've been a firm believer in it, and it's something that I'm pushing heavily this campaign season. The other things that I'm really pushing for is voting rights for our U.S. territories. Most people don't know what the voting situation is in our territories, and it's not great. It's a lot of taxation without representation, and who better to fix it? Sorry, what?
Give them a couple of examples, because I know you probably mean like Guam and what the Saipan or whatever the heck it is, but give a couple of examples of where you mean, because most folks have no idea.
Yeah, definitely. So your biggest ones is Puerto Rico, American Samoa, Guam, like you mentioned, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and then even DC. As of right now, all of these territories get a non-voting representative to the House of Representatives. They are able to introduce bills as the representative, but they cannot vote on the passage of that bill. And then if it does pass the House and it goes to the Senate, the territories have no representation, no one to boost the bill that's in question. And then when you get to presidential elections, is they do vote in the presidential election, but none of the territories have electoral college votes. And so while they're able to vote, it doesn't count in the electoral college. And so the territories really don't have voting rights. And so something I'm trying to fix is making sure that they have representation in the House, in the Senate, and the opportunity to have their votes count for presidential elections. These territories all follow federal laws. At least some of the residents are paying federal taxes. And even if it's just one federal employee in the islands that is paying taxes, that is taxation without representation, and is something that needs to change. And if these territories want to move up to the next step, they want, the same voting rights as states, is we need to make it easily accessible for them to apply for statehood and have that case made. And without their representation, they're kind of stuck at point one with only being a territory.
Okay. So, so you've got term limits and voter representation for the territories. I told you we were going to talk a little bit about the Jones Act. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so definitely Jones Act is on my list. I'm very encouraged that we have a presidential candidate this year, Chase Oliver, who is also very big into the Jones Act. He knows that it not only impacts Hawaii, it impacts Alaska, it impacts all of our territories, and it even impacts the northern states. The natural gas that could be shipped from the southern states is instead being shipped in from Europe. It's the Jones Act just doesn't make sense nowadays in our modern economy. And it's something where we have in the Libertarian Party, we're going to have a presidential candidate that's talking about the Jones Act. With myself, we're going to have federal level candidates talking about it. And then even within the state, we're going to have state level congressman candidates talking about nullifying the Jones Act from internal. My plan for it is not to abolish or remove the Jones Act. It has been tried 5 or 6 times already, and each time it never passes the House. It never goes anywhere. And abolishing is not the way to get the relief that the people of Hawaii and Alaska and the territories all need now. And so my proposal.
So you're talking about kind of doing a revision of it then, revising it, because it is over 100 years old. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen, was this the first time you'd seen my commercial just now?
Your one, yes.
Yeah, I figured. Hey. Yeah, at least you watched it now. So one of the things about the Jones Act that I like to tell people about that make them understand why it's such a old and kind of outdated policy is, one of the things on the Jones Act is that your ship has to be built in America. That's like telling people that their car has to be a Ford or a Chevy and it has to be built in America. You cannot have your Toyotas. People in Hawaii, the Jones Act is like telling people that like boats, right? Same way of cars, that you can't have your Yoda. You cannot have your Tacoma. You can't have your 4Runner. No, that's what it is. So, or was it Toyota Altimas? Altimas. Have you guys seen those memes about the Altimas in the wild? They always have like a dent on them or something because just go hard. Anyways, so you're running as a libertarian. Aaron, why are you a libertarian? How did you find libertarianism? Why? Why not?
I think we each have our own pathway, how we made it to the Libertarian Party. And mine, it was most people don't associate mine with libertarianism, as I was actually trying to vote for Bernie Sanders in 2016. It was the first election that I was starting to get politically active. The prior presidential election, I was just out of high school and not really into politics at that time. But I went and voted for Bernie, and in Hawaii, he gained the majority of the votes, and the Electoral College still gave the votes to Hillary Clinton, and it just didn't make sense to me. And so I started to research more about what the options were. What am I missing? What's going on here? And I found Gary Johnson, and I said to myself, this candidate relates the most to me out of any candidate. And so I started going down the rabbit hole of researching more about libertarianism, what it is, what it means to people, and I could not relate more to a party. It sang to my soul, and I've been a lifelong libertarian voter since then. Since the 2016 and beyond, and I will never stop. I think that, especially with our presidential candidate, I think it's super important that we remember, if we get the 5%, we get a major party status. And that is, I think, been a goal of mine every year, to see the Libertarian Party hit 5% of the votes, so we get the benefits of that party status.
So I do want to ask you one question too, since you filed yesterday, and this is for my Florida peeps. What was your filing requirement? What do you have to do?
Wasn't terrible in comparison to some states. I've been hearing the horror stories, and but for Hawaii, for a federal level candidate, it was 25 valid signatures and a $75 filing fee. Well, it's
the way it should be.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So.
It is, and I thought it sounded even easier than it was. It turned out that they were very specific on the signatures, because I only needed 25, I ended up getting probably around 60, 75, and it was because over half of them, they were like, no, this one's missing this one's missing that, and I just had to keep going back and grabbing more signatures.
On a larger level, like say Florida, for instance, over 100,000 votes, I would have had to get good votes. And they're doing the same thing, where they're trying to throw out signatures. They're trying to be like, oh, I can't read this, or that's not a valid address. They didn't put their zip code. Is that a junior or is that the dad? We don't know, so we're throwing them out. They do that. And I really was spoiled with Hawaii being my first place to run for office, because it is easier. And that's another reason why the Free State Project was looking at Hawaii, because it is so easy. The ballot access is so much more open. And that's how we get other parties out in Hawaii that are a little bit more unique. Like we had the Aloha Aina party that I also ran against in 2022. But they're kind of defunct now, correct?
Yeah, after the 2022 elections, all of the third parties except the Libertarian Party lost their ballot access. And the only one I saw that regained their ballot access through signatures was the Green Party. So you're seeing in the filing documents, I've been seeing it's mostly, Democrats and Republicans, as you normally see, with a sprinkle of Libertarian and Green Party candidates, and just a few nonpartisan. But it's really, you can see that there's not as much of a third party voice this year, unfortunately.
So one way that they mess with the nonpartisan candidates in Hawaii and in other states, but in Hawaii, how they do it is like if you want to run nonpartisan, then you have to get more votes than the highest partisan or the lowest partisan. So usually, like if you got a nonpartisan candidate, that's because there is a libertarian or there is a green in there, because there's no way that nonpartisan out in Hawaii without any kind of party backing or support that they're going to get on the ballot against a Republican or a Democrat. If that's what their low number is the Republican. In Hawaii, it's the Republican. That's still a lot of votes. But anyway, Mike, you had a question.
I was just going to say, I appreciate you running for federal office, because the Libertarian Party in general has people focusing on state and local elections, which I'm a fan of because that's how you gain market share. But running for the federal office, I think, allows you a national stage and allows other people to see what we're doing. And so we're going to be playing your commercials when we, have other people on next week and the week after. So send us the videos, man. And hopefully you can inspire others, because again, I think there's a lot of money to be made down at the state, local, community levels, but we need folks running at federal level too, just in case, Chase and Mike can get in. We can give them some good bills. Like, I'm looking at your platform, and I'm a fan of everything. I mean, it's a very libertarian platform. But this episode is on sex work. What are your stances on sex work? I'm not going to ask if you've used them before. I'm going to ask what your stance is on sex work.
Well, I think I take the libertarian perspective on it, that, the government shouldn't be involved. If it's two consenting adults, there's no reason for the government to be regulating, to be double checking on it. It's something that there is proven success of it being done legally. There's not only seen it in Nevada, but there's countries all over the world, that have legal sex work, and they don't have the issues that the black market has. And I think it's a safer environment for everyone, from the workers to the customers, when it's just legalized, not left in the shadows. But the way I look at it differently from from certain libertarians is that this is a state and county issue. I don't believe that the federal government should be saying one way or the other. I think it's states' rights is super big to me, and each state, each county should be able to create their own laws about it and decide as a community, is this something we want in our community or not? It shouldn't be forced from the top down. Each county has the ability to nullify whatever their state's decision is on it.
Very good. Yeah. States' rights. Because really, that's where we want that's where we want laws and rules be made, is at the local level that apply to just, our people. You hit it right on the head. Thank you. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to talk about while we're here? We got a few more minutes, and then we've kind of we've rearranged the schedule of how I wanted this campaign to go, or the campaign update. So Mike Termat, our beloved vice presidential candidate, he was on, and I didn't want to waste his time. So I kind of moved him, and now you're moved in the back, and we still have, Mike and I both have to do our campaign updates too. So what do you want to tell folks in Hawaii? Oh, you know what? While I got you on the phone, and on here, there's another candidate. I don't know if I should say who it is, but I'm gonna just say this helpful. He's out there on the streets right now. He's a famous candidate on Big Island, and he's doing the sign waving thing just a little. There's a better way to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my secret. Get you 10 signs, at least 10 signs for whenever you're going to sign wave, especially in Hawaii and on the Big Island, because there's long stretches of road where there's nothing, right? You set up your signs, you face them in the direction of the traffic, not face them to the road. You face them in the direction of traffic, and you put about 10, 15 feet between each one. And then you lead it up to where you are going to be. And that's where you wave. Because people are going to see you coming up, and they'll be prepared. It's a safety thing, and it's also a little bit more high vis. So I saw this video. of a friend of mine on Instagram, and he's campaigning out on Big Island, and maybe he watches this, maybe he doesn't, I don't know. But friend, give people some notice that there's going to be somebody on the side of the road, because right now, like the video that I saw, it's like this big lion bush. If you know what lion grass is, it's an overgrown weed that just like flops out everywhere. And so cars are coming by. They don't necessarily see him coming up. And you also follow the good advice of The Art of War. If you're running for office, folks, I highly recommend you read this. It's a short read. This is not the only piece that's in this book. It's The Art of War. If you get it on audiobook, it's maybe 3 hours long. Anyways, it talks about when you're campaigning and where to have ground, and you want to have high ground. So if you're trying to be visible, so you want to get on the high ground where the sun is shining on you so that people can see you, not in the shade, not in the gutter. So, all right, now it's your turn. Anything you got?
I appreciate the advice, and definitely looking forward to getting out there and campaigning some more. It's going to be an exciting 6 months here, and I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and talking about the issues and educating people on libertarianism and different things that we can do for our state. And other than that, I appreciate you guys having me on for your first episode, and I look forward to hopefully doing an update, later on this year and showing you guys how the campaign has progressed. And hopefully, we have a libertarian in Congress this year, and that'll be the big change.
I really wish you the best. I hope you inspire others, because we need libertarians running at all levels, state, local, and federal, so that we can spread the message of freedom. So I appreciate you. It was great meeting you at the national convention, and I can't wait to see what you do next, man. That's awesome.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha, you guys.
Okay, Mike, we're back. We are back. You ready to go to a commercial? You want to take a commercial break? I feel like
I need to take a quick bathroom break. So run the commercial.
Okay, so a commercial. We'll do two. We'll do one from my campaign in Hawaii and one from another Chase Oliver one.
I'm going to serve the people.
So speaking of the people, one thing I'm asking from all the candidates is, what do you believe the people of Hawaii can do? Not just in the sense of elections, but in the sense of their community right now and for the future.
They can do whatever they want. The sky is the limit. Their potential is only limited by their imagination and their will. So I think that if I were to say someone to do something as an individual is to follow your heart, follow your dreams, work hard. And maybe that's about politics, or maybe it's not. The message is still the same, though.
Right on.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha. Rabbit Holes is a Manava Cow production. This episode was produced by Kadika Hoke and Sarah Rodriguez. Make sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast platforms to add our weekly episodes to your queue.
We have 20th century politicians who have been running the 21st century mechanisms of government for my entire adult life, and it's time for that to stop.
And the people are getting tired of it. Rise up, because we will not be silenced.
Instead of just talking about liberty, we go across the country, reaching out to activists to show what liberty in action actually looks like. That's the kind of campaign for president we're running. One that shows us the positive, aspirational message of liberty that voters can connect with.
All people are free. They have inherent freedom and liberty.
We support liberty 100% unfiltered all the time.
I've gotten tear gas in the streets while I protest for justice reform.
My generation is the generation that got sent to fight the war on terror. My generation is the generation that had the entire real estate market fall out from underneath us right as we were getting started. It's my generation that is right now trying to raise families all over the country with massive runaway inflation.
This is not a left versus right issue. This is a right versus wrong issue.
The Chase Oliver President campaign will be pulling no punches. We'll be putting a bold message of liberty forward that voters can identify with. We'll be exposing the two-party system for who they are.
Are you actually reading the bills, or are you just taking Chuck Schumer's word for it when you vote on these things?
I will fight like hell to make sure that each and every one of you is replaced.
We libertarians, we want to enter this race to be a check against the two-party system and to give you somebody honest to vote for.
Why is that the radical idea, not the rational idea?
Nobody will buy and pay for a libertarian. We don't just blow with the political winds with whatever's popular. We stand on principle. And I say as a libertarian, we do not believe in the initiation of force.
Take the boot off of our neck, support freedom, and support the people. Thank you very much.
I'm Chase Oliver, a candidate for president, and I approve this message.
All right. That was a great commercial. Another great commercial from Chase Oliver campaign. And so now we're back in the groove. All right. So folks, the plan is the schedule plan. And, you know, sometimes my schedule plans be on paper. So I can do a better job at that. But future episodes, when you want to see the future episodes, presidential campaign update will be at noon. Noon.
So if we invite you and we say it starts at 11, look at us and go, no, it starts at noon. For when you want to, it starts at 11, but we want the nominees to show up backstage at noon.
No.
Not noon. Well,
no, 11:45 military time, 11:45, 11:50. That's fine. That's the presidential candidates. The other candidates, so we have a spot in the beginning and we have a spot at the end that's room for the two candidates. So because Mike Trematt was in the front because he showed up at 11, we kind of pushed everything in the opposite direction. So his interview was supposed to be 30 minutes, which we did. We did the 30-minute interview plus the campaign update for 10. So that was more of like the second interview because I told Aaron to come on at 11 because I was going to have him first as the first interview. But going forward, we're going to plan this out a little better. All right. So if the first candidate come on at probably 11:15, 11:20 and go on to noon. Right. Okay. Then you have your presidential update for 10 minutes. And then and of course we're playing commercials throughout this. And when I say we're playing commercials, I don't mean just the candidates that we're having on stage today. If you have campaign commercials this season, though, that's the only caveat. It needs to be this season. I'm not playing 2018 commercials. If you're not running for office this season, run for office. I want people that are running for office this season, their commercials. It can be one of their old commercials from 2018, but they still need to be on the ballot this go round so people can know who's on the ballot and know the people that are running for office this year. So how I plan to do it. So like I said, candidate A, presidential campaign update, candidate B. And in the beginning, we want to do a little bit of what we're going to talk about, like what we did. We started off right. We started off right with the talking about sex work and having Tracy Ryan talk. So we discussed the subject, and then that way, when candidates do come on, we can have a little conversation about those issues. And I do have the issues all on a spreadsheet as well, and I may share that with you guys. But now we're in the portion of the show where we're going to talk about our campaigns. Mike and I, we're running for U.S. Senate as well. And so, yes, I'm going to let Mike start because I've been talking too much anyways. I'm going to let Mike start and share things you know how to do it. I've given you the quick 1-2 class, so
we'll figure it out. We'll hold on for the changes. My name is Mike Scott. I am the Libertarian Party Senate nominee for the great state of Maryland. Vote gold, y'all. I really like this entire discussion because a lot of ground was covered. Mike Termott talked about closing bases overseas. That's one of my big issues, is closing bases overseas, because people don't really know what a military base is. It's not just force projection. It's not just a place to resupply the troops. It's not just a place to house the troops. And it is part of the dime: diplomatic, information, military, and economic. Those are the 4 instruments of military power. They've updated them to add an FIL. I don't believe in that last part. The dime: a military base is at least $1 billion a year to a local economy, and that's why closing them is so important. We need to understand this. If you want to know a little about my background, I am retired military. I started off enlisted, had to figure out, I was a statistical analysis programmer, Air Force. Kept getting told what to do by idiots who had bars on their shoulders. So one day I asked, how the heck did you become an officer? He said, I went to college. I said, be right back. So I went to college, became an officer. And I was a ORSA, Ops Research. That's a mathematician, a statistician. I will admit right now that Lockdown Larry Hogan, who is the ex-governor and running for the Republican ticket, and Angela Alsobach, who is the PG County executive, are amazing politicians. They are phenomenal politicians, and they will have forgotten more about politics than I'll know, but I've forgotten more about federal service, the acquisitions project, the way things work, and top secret programs than they will ever learn. I don't care how long they spend in Senate. We can do the things that Mike Termott and Aaron were talking about. We can definitely get those things done, but we can't get them done alone. If you want a campaign update, the campaign is anemic. I live in Prince George's County, Maryland. It is a Democratic stronghold. It is hard to get callbacks from colleges. It is hard to get callbacks from the press and the mainstream media. So we need, we the people, to reach out and pull us in. If you'd like to hear us speak in Florida, in Hawaii, in Maryland, if you'd like to come hear us speak, you have to pull us in, because they don't want the message told. Our message.
You know what? I just thought of something.
What do we think?
I was thinking about Lady Gaga, and I'm an artist.
Michelle Poker Face?
No. So one of the things that she did to get famous, to start her track on booking events and concerts and everything, is that she would call places and pretend she wasn't her. And she would say, I have this person that wants to come and do this gig. You know, like her name is Lady Gaga, knowing that she's Lady Gaga talking,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
And I was already thinking about this when you said it too, that we should be making calls for each other. If you've got some phone numbers that you need somebody to call and get you a gigs, I can call from anywhere. And they're going to know I'm not you, because I've got a lady's voice. Yeah. And same way, other way around, they're going to know it's not me because you've got a man's voice.
And I'll make the calls for you, because we got to help each other as nominees. And that's the whole point of this platform right here. So we get a chance to put out our information, but also highlight others where they may not get a chance to they may not have a chance to talk to folks, because in a lot of places it's really locked down and they have a stranglehold on the information, which is why this is important. So.
Yeah, it is important. So what are you doing next week? You got anything coming up, or are you on the ballot? Let's clear that air.
I am on the ballot. I am. If you go to Ballotopedia, or if you go to the Maryland State Board of Elections, you will see the name Mike Scott right there. You have a third party option. If you'd like to know my platform, term limits, in the Fed, standard libertarian stuff. It's a very libertarian platform. I believe that, like I said, I was talking about the instruments of national power. I believe the instruments of healing are healthcare, education, economy, and equity, and the environment. That I was going to call it, but that's a terrible platform name. And again, I can talk about this stuff forever, because all of it's related, and those are the things we need for liberty to go through. We have to fix our economy, we have to fix our healthcare, but we have to learn the truth. The two-party system is working the way it's designed to, and it's designed to transfer wealth from us to the 1%. And if it's not designed that way, and that's what it's doing, It's the OODA loop. It's not what you want. It's not what you fear. It's what is. That is what's happening between inflation and taxation and policies. All of our money and wealth is being transferred elsewhere. And it costs $125 for 3 bags of groceries. Do you want me to get into my opinions on sex work and stuff? Because I got about 1 million things to say about that.
I think it's right. I think it's right. Leave me a little bit of time still. Leave me a little bit of time.
Oh, actually, I will just say 2 things about sex work. One is they accidentally decriminalized it in Rhode Island. And during that time, rapes went down. And let me see where I could put this thing. There we go. Rhode Island. I'm going to pull that silly thing up. And you guys can see this. And we're going to share the screen. And I'm going to pick it up.
Okay.
There we
go.
That's
you got it?
I believe that's it. And that is saying what happened.
The loophole.
Gonorrhea decreased by 40% in females, like sexual transmitted diseases decreased by 40%. Sexual violence decreased by 30%. And there was another study I found that said if when Craigslist and all that stuff came out and the hookers were the prostitutes, the sex workers were able to engage directly with clients and not involve pimps and stuff, all cases of female homicide went down by something like 17%. 17%. All of it couldn't be involved with sex workers. Some of it has to be female wives who the husband got to have an outlet so that they could not kill their wives too. I'm telling you, everything is better when you don't legislate morality. If you legislate morality, we have problems. Prohibition has never worked in any way, and it still won't work. And I don't know why we continue to do it. So, that's my opinion on sex work. I always try freedom because I look at the worst thing that could happen with any law. And if you look at Eliot Spitzer, the way they found him, former governor of New York, they found him through a terror banking law. It was supposed to be looked at to stop terrorism. And he was making a bunch of weird purchases. This is the freaking governor of New York. And they turned him in and he got busted for sex crimes using a terrorist finance law. You always look at the worst thing that can happen with any law you put in. That's why you don't give these people power, because you don't know how they're going to use whatever laws you put in. That's from Patriot Act on down. That's my spiel. Okay. How you doing? Okay. How's your campaign going? What are you doing next week? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm doing a podcast next week, and there's all sorts of summer festivals you can see me at. Last week, I was at the Annapolis Pride Parade, handing out cards and all that fun stuff. There are pictures. I hardly take any, so I got to get better at that so I can have more pictures in the promo. I'm done.
You done?
I'm done.
Sure. Okay.
I'll talk for hours. I'm done.
All right. Well, do you have any events coming up next week?
I'm doing the podcast, and there are a couple of festivals. I haven't decided which one I'm going to go to. What I'm trying to do is figure out how to get on stage with Miss Also Brooks and former Governor Hogan, because I'll tear him up in any debate because we don't need more politicians in DC. We need mathematicians. We borrow $100,000 a second to run the government. That's per second, every day. That's $1 trillion every 4 months.
We definitely don't need more lawyers.
We don't need more politicians. We don't need lawyers. We need economists and mathematicians and physicists and physicians, folks that are impacted by the bills and the laws that these people make. And I'm impacted because I buy my own groceries. I see what's happening out there. So vote Libertarian, y'all.
All right. Well, folks, sure, I'll do my campaign update. So some of you may know, some of you may be privy to, but I also do a campaign update with my campaign team once a week, and we do a little slide. So I'm going to go through what we did this week for slides. We do these slides every week. Some of them change, some of them don't. This is my team. We've got a mission statement where we support Libertarian candidates up and down the ballot, increase visibility of the Libertarian brand, increase understanding of Libertarian principles, recruit new Libertarians and future candidates, and keep current membership involved and excited about the Libertarian Party. That's our mission, winning hearts and minds. our goals. So we have actually hit most of these goals on here already this campaign. We raised the required filing fee from within the state of Florida and from across the nation. Thank you, folks, for donating to the campaign, that not just in Florida, but Texas, Hawaii, California, North Carolina, Ohio. I mean, a lot of states, and thank you. But the majority of it did come from Florida, because that would just be greasy if it didn't. But let me keep on going. We still want to raise more money than I've ever raised utilizing my contacts. So one of the things in campaigning that you want to do when you are campaigning is to call all these people that are in your like Rolodex. This isn't even including what I got from the convention this past weekend. So I've never done that. And this is my third campaign. So this is like a campaign goal of mine. We've already gone through the phone. We've already gone through all my phone contacts. We've gone through the majority of my social media contacts. So we're tracking to make these contacts. We've had one fundraiser. Some of you may know it was called 40 Hours for Freedom. And we hope to do another 40 Hours for Freedom a little later in the campaign. Another goal is to have an election night watch party, because I've never been able to do that in Hawaii. Even when I left Hawaii in 2023, there were still lockdowns residue left in Hawaii. Like you couldn't go to places without a mask still. So that kind of sucked. Get thank you notes out before election day. That brings me to this point of my campaign update. I did actually get thank you notes out to everyone that helped me get on the filing fee, and also sent a thank you note to all my previous donors that have donated to my campaigns in years past, just to let them know that I'm not there, and I am still thankful for what they contributed in my last campaign. So that it's still moving. Like what I bought with their campaign donations are still being used in Florida, because palm trees and shakas are palm trees and shakas. And Florida and Hawaii, I've been so blessed to be able to campaign in paradise for those two places. But I've been getting return mail from some folks, so I don't have an updated address. So if I say your name, if you're watching this and I say your name, can you please send me an updated address? And that way I can also get you on my Christmas card list too, that I like to send out. So Phil Lamy, Carmelo Bonifacio, Bridget Odo, Larry Sharp, Meredith McMurray, Jasmine Alford, Jody James, Joe Sokol. Joe Sokol's my campaign treasurer. I'm about to get, wonder why that didn't go through. And Amanda Davis. So please send me your correct addresses so I can update these. Also on the goals, using new technology to reach voters, we've been using AI, like what Mike Trematt was talking about earlier. Now, I'm not using the same program. My website designer that I've had for the last two campaigns, this third campaign that he's been on with me, he's a veteran. He's been into AI since day one. And so we've been training an AI bot of our own that's been doing some pretty good stuff. And that's using new technology to reach voters. Visit top 10 cities 2 times. We have definitely hit up all the top 10 cities at least once now. Make new friends. I'm always making new friends. 200,000 votes comes on election day, and having fun, because if you're not, oh my goodness, you shouldn't be doing it if you're not having fun. I mean, you got to have a little fun. You spend a lot of time doing it, and it's not going to pay the bills. So have fun. So accomplishments since last meeting, we went to the national convention. We secured advertisements. We started designing on some door knockers, scheduled some events, which we're going to go over. Campaign update, which we're on right now. We are in the campaign update, and I'm a little worried because I see that the computer has frozen. Anyone else?
We still hear you just fine. You're not moving. I still hear you just fine. You're going through.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. We're just going to keep on going. You know what? Maybe if I stop screen. I think I'm doing too much. Yeah, I believe so. We're going to cut to a commercial then.
Cut to a commercial.
As soon as I can click on something. All right. Co-host, this is why you're here. Can you click on We Can Write the Future under brand and videos?
Brand and where's videos? Videos. We can what?
Write the future.
We can write the future.
I'm Fina Benoan, and I approve this message.
I'm an American. You know, I was born in Florida, raised in North Carolina, moved off with the military, traveled around the world, and landed here in Hawaii, the most beautiful place in the world, the most perfect place in the world. And this is where we choose to be. This is where we've decided to spend, the rest of our lives at. Being a child of a single mom that was like a waitress, and she made $2.13 an hour. She stole biscuits from Red Lobster for us. And the reason why is because she couldn't get...
You are still frozen, but somehow that video stopped. Was that the end of it?
I didn't even see it. So...
You didn't see it come up? Let me try it one more again. Because I saw it come up and it looked like it got through the...
I'm Fina Benoan, and I approve this message.
I'm an American. I was born in Florida, raised in North Carolina, moved off with the military, traveled around the world, and landed here in Hawaii, the most beautiful place in the world, the most perfect place in the world. And this is where we choose to be. This is where we've decided to spend, the rest of our lives at. Being a child of a single mom that was like a waitress, and she made $2.13 an hour. She stole biscuits from Red Lobster for us. And the reason why is because she couldn't get food stamps. And she couldn't get food stamps because she smoked marijuana. And that was it. And these are the kind of problems I see with our system. I've not forgot where I came from. I'm in a new place. I'm in the most beautiful place. I'm in paradise. And you know what I see, my friend? I see the same problems. I see people that have created the systems that want to help, want to do good. But the execution of it, they're missing the most vulnerable parts of our community. The kids. The kids. People that want to help, want to do good. The kids. People want to help, want to do good. The kids. The kids. People want to help, want to do good. We can't rewrite history, but we can try to make things better. We can write the future. We can write the future. I'm a libertarian, so I'm not a Republican or Democrat. And this is where we choose to be. This is where we've decided to spend, the rest of our lives at. We do not condone the use of force to achieve political goals. Hawaii is paradise, and we're so blessed to live here. I'm an American. I've not forgot where I came from. I'm in a new place. I'm in the most beautiful place. I'm in paradise. And you know what I see, my friend? I see the same problems. I see people that have created the systems that want to help, want to do good. But the execution of it, they're missing the most vulnerable parts of our community. The kids. Hawaii, the most beautiful place in the world, the most perfect place in the world. I'm in the most beautiful place. I'm in paradise. And you know what I see, my friend? People want to help, want to do good. Hawaii is paradise, and we're so blessed to live here. And this is where we choose to be. This is where we've decided to spend, the rest of our lives at. We can't rewrite history, but we can try to make things better. We can make things better. We can write the future.
I'm Fina Benoan, and I approve this message. All right, let's try that again. Let's get back. Sorry about that, folks. I'm not sure what happened on my computer, but it wouldn't be a internet-based campaign update if we didn't have a little bit of technical difficulties coming on. But I'm going to go back to sharing my screen.
Semper Gundam. We're flexible.
Yeah, we're flexible. So events, we have Maj Toure that's going to be coming down to Jacksonville on August 17th, and he's going to be teaching a basic firearm safety course, and also I'm going to be working with my neighbor who does self-defense courses for the for like neighborhood kids and whatnot. So that'll be good. We have the West Orange Chamber of Commerce Hobnob and Straw Poll on August the 1st, a Hobnob at Lake Howell High School on June 12th. Brevard County, there's an event coming up this weekend for Nathan Slusher that I hope to attend. Volusia County, the Daytona area is... I forgot what I'm doing there. I've got to finish that up. Sorry. Sarasota. So a lot of folks don't know that I was actually born in Sarasota and have a lot of family out there. My aunts and my mom and my uncles, they were all raised in Sarasota. So my aunt from North Carolina that used to live in Sarasota, who actually got me out of Sarasota when I was a little kid, she's coming down. We're going to do a little campaigning in the old hometown. And hopefully I'll have video for that either next weekend, or next campaign update, or the one after that. On June 15th, we've got Missing Voices. And this week we are going to be at Taco One Night Stand on June 6th, this Thursday. And that is for the Duval County Libertarians. And so if you're out in Jacksonville or surrounding area, please show up for that. And then we have something cooking for Seminole County on July 4th. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this thinking outside the box campaign strategy, but we are actually running out of time. My website is finaforus.com. You can also find me at finabenoan.com. This is a little slide that I put together. You try to do it weekly. But that's what we have. So without further ado, do you have anything else you want to say for our first episode, Mike?
At Mike Scott, the #1 word on YouTube and X, and Mike Scott, all caps, on Facebook and Instagram, and lifeinallcaps.com or MikeScott2024.com gets you me. And I guess we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.